Shasta, and this object appears, but it does this crazy loop in one frame. It frees this one. So this is the one I was referring to. You can see it looks like a donut or a halo. This in it right here. That's actually the toroidal energy field. So when you're teleporting, sometimes we'll get an image where the space, the atmosphere thickens in sort of a toroidal, toroid meaning like right there, energy field outside and Long Beach. And that's what's holding this being. Now that you can, if you look at this close up, you'll see the eyes, two bright eyes, and the shape. It's very abstract, but this is like a crystalline light being from another planet whose civilization has evolved to where they shift and are mostly in a quasi-materialized light form. Humans will eventually evolve to this. But this is somewhere in the order of 1 billion years. So all this is sand. And it's a night shot. It's not none of this is altered. And it's just on the beach and comes in. Beautiful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, remember, when we'll go through this tomorrow, when we go through the levels of civilizations, the ones that are at the highest level of civilization, their consciousness is at the level of a celestial, but they have planetary systems. So at that level, when you're in, say, God consciousness, unity consciousness, or the whole civilization's at that level, they can be on a planet around their star system, or they can just sublimate, as it were, into those realms, and they just traverse back and forth at will. So we'll go through all the levels of consciousness tomorrow, and all that correlate to all the levels of ET civilizations. But this is ET. It's just that, yeah, their consciousness of it is at the level of what we would associate with a high celestial level. This particular species. Next. Next. Oh yeah, this is great. There's a bigger shot of it. Now this is fantastic. Let's pause this for a moment. This is one shot. The woman here is a Peruvian doctor who came to an expedition in Florida. And this object, we'd been having contact with objects that were in the sky that would appear and disappear, and we're in deep meditation. So I led a meditation, had done the puja, and then we're meditating, and this is in one frame of a camera that was just automatically taking pictures. This ribbon, well, there's another shot of it, comes in and wraps around her, goes behind her and through her left shoulder and up to her crown chakra and here. And at the moment that's happening, she's having like a kundalini and cosmic consciousness experience with the ETs. This is an unretouched photo. Let's go to the next one. It's astonishing. It's just so beautiful. Look. Yep. Yes, it kind of blew her chakras open. And this is a great one from California, off the coast of Newport Beach. This object that is just rotating. It's these beautiful emerald objects during a CE5. Not far up. It's very close, and a few thousand feet up. It's beautiful. So see, in this case, that's one object with these lights that are turning counterclockwise. The other one that was three were three separate light ships that were moving. They look like emerald gems. One time we were in Crestone here, and there was an object that came in, but then it turned colors, almost like ruby red, sapphire blue, emerald green, and it went through all this spectra right above us. It was beautiful, just beautiful. Now this one, you may recall, the sound on this is kind of interesting if you want to turn the sound on for a moment. And there's this sphere Oh, well, it moved on. That's right. But it moves with the guy's mind. This is a great picture, Vancouver Island, British Columbia. But look, see, get a look at this. Now, when it zooms in, we'll pause it. The reason I like showing this, it has no seams. Look closely. So this is a dome disc. There are no rivets, seams, nothing. Broad daylight, one of the best photos ever taken. And I put this in here so that you get a sense that the ones that are man-made have very clear structural elements when it's this clear. And you'll see, I mean, it's like a jet that has seams, it has rivets, it has the old, if you look at the drawing of the alien reproduction vehicle from Mark McCandlish from the Disclosure Project, that the detail on that, it had all these sections. It was obviously very mechanical. It was an anti-gravity. It went all through the solar system in the late 50s, early 60s. But you can tell a very big difference between that and something like this. So continue. This one is kind of amazing, Vancouver. This was recently, 2 years ago, almost exactly. And it's this semicircle of a craft, like a horseshoe. And we've actually seen these horseshoe craft fly right over us. Now, I like this because it demonstrates something very important. Look how it moves in and out of space-time. It like folds in and out. This is Los Angeles. And a CE5 team a few years ago. Watch what it does. You know, this is a Crest stone. And there's an object comes over, no satellites. It's after any satellites could be seen. We signal to it, and there's this huge burst of light that comes back into the group. Right there, that's a laser. This is Costa Rica. So there was an event over in an area. Look at the detail. Again, seamless. It has this center, it's almost like a walnut, like the big Brazilian one from the 50s. But this is Air Force footage that we got. Again, this is Mount Shasta. There's an object right behind us, comes in below the trees. You can see the thread of it. Barely, and in one frame, it goes zing, ding, and it's this golden, sort of like a top object right behind me. A few feet, not far. I use this because this is like one of these canister objects. You see it? And it's an elongated canister. This is one of ours. All right? And it's floating along. This is my Star Wars warning. You probably have seen STS-48. There's a craft that comes in and it's fired at. You'll see in a moment. Here it is. And there's one of these weapons. Look, it takes this evasive action. Boom. And there goes the missile. It's an energy weapon, DEW, directed energy weapon. So this is what we warn about. This is what's dangerous. It's a very, very dangerous game being played. Another event back in the 90s off of the coast of Florida. Huge group of objects. Yes. And again, this is a group that was doing CE5 near Melbourne. Watch how these, it's very similar. Look how they just dematerialize. This is why I love these, because they'll be there and it comes back into this dimension. There are no clouds. So it comes in, it comes out. So, and then sometimes they almost do this dance together. And that's a very common event. This is a woman doing CE5 in the Netherlands who's got some amazing images. Look at this one, how it literally folds into space-time. That's below a cloud. See what it's doing? So it's actually doing this enfoldment. Yeah. And every once in a while our space missions get visited by a spherical probe like this. I just think it's funny. Every once in a while, something like this slips through the filters. Now, here's a CE5. This is another one out in Australia. We have great teams in Australia doing this. And just watch the motion here, the way it turns, stops. This is in Pennsylvania. No, this one isn't. It's a group, actually, here. It was really fascinating. We often have the formation that comes up a lot is we'll have 3 in a triangle and a scout ship. But this is, look how this morphs. So this is changing shapes. So the other thing to remember, the plasticity of space and time and matter. We think of it very fixed. They can actually enfold into space-time, alter their shape. Frequently, we'll see them be one shape, and then they sort of morph into a disk, or morph into a triangle, or morph into a rectangle. There was a group of our people doing CE5 when this thing happened in Mexico. And it was a CE5 event. It's one of my favorite, flying right through the valley. So let's pause this for a second. It's a light ship. It's probably only a few feet around. But remember, if it were to unfold into 3D fully, it could be 100 to 1,000 feet or what have you. So often all we'll see in this dimension is an aspect or a part of it. And this happens most of the time. There are people that have had experiences where there's a craft that looks like it's 10 or 20 feet across. They go in it, and it's the size of a football field. Now, what is that? It's because we're thinking of space and time as a very fixed, hard reality. But when you're dealing with very high voltage systems that create a vector in space-time into other dimensions, you can have a craft that looks at a certain size.
Dr. Stephen Green has created a method to contact these non-human intelligences. He thinks that he is contacting the peaceful beings who will lead us to inner evolution, to the evolution of consciousness. Is this possible? But how can we know exactly with what intelligence we are contacting? How can we know if they don't want to manipulate us? Is this real, or is it all a fantasy? If you want to know more and see exclusive events, you can be part of Gaia through this link.
Become an Events Plus member today to enjoy unlimited live streaming of all upcoming and archived events featuring some of the world's greatest minds in the fields of personal transformation. As an Events Plus member, you will also receive free access to the full Gaia library of over 8,000 original shows, films and interviews.